What's up, guys? It's Solo. It is the end of the season, and now it's time for the awards. Going to give out, All Pro, MVP, Coach of the Split, Rookie of the Year, and as someone who watched every LCS game, yes, even the Immortals, the Shopify ones, I deserve a say in who gets these awards. So you're going to give Solo's expert advice and critique on the season. Now this one's a little bit strange because we had a very, very top-heavy league. TL, C9, FlyQuest, all coming in top 3. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's how they get slotted in the All Pro. I tried to find reasons to give awards to people that were not in the top 15 there of players. But honestly, it's really hard. Outside of that, it's a lot of negative win rates. And it's hard to give awards when players, are performing poorly in over half of the games. So, spoiler alert, it is going to be from those 3 teams. And a lot of the conversation I have in this video will be about the differential between them, since that ends up being the thing that matters the most. So we'll get into it. We'll start off with top lane and go top to bottom. Starting out, first team All Pro. Got to give it to Impact. I mean, I cannot think of a season. It's been a while, maybe since Berserker first came in and was MVP, of having such a differential between somebody in their position and the next best person. Impact has been insane this split. Even in the games that TL has lost, which is only a few of them, he has just been the best player. I'm so impressed, especially obviously with how long he's been playing, for him to keep up this level of success. Second team All Pro. This one was a little bit closer, but for reasons I'll discuss in a little bit, I'm going to give it to Thanatos. He performed really well for being kind of a new, fresh player. I really liked him. He did make some really rookie mistakes, especially in some of the team fights, some weird flash-ins when the team is leaving and things like that. A little bit maybe macro decisions that were a little bit strange, but overall I was impressed. He had good laning, and when he was on, he did have some good, team fight carry potential. So I'm excited to see him next year and progressing, and I think he deserves a second team. And a lot of that also is because of third team. So we'll talk about Bwipo. Bwipo is such a polarizing player. And a lot of the reasons he gets third instead of second, in my opinion, is just because of how many games this split were more or less just a net loss because of him. Now, he does have that kind of style where, he'll have games like the Scion games where he just wins the game because he plays so well and he absorbs so much pressure and he just does really, really smart things. But then you have games like the Set game versus TL, or the Nautilus game versus C9, where he just makes these boneheaded decisions that almost lose you the game on the spot. And for that, I think that it's a little bit inexcusable and hard to give him above Thanatos because of how many games were just decided because of him. So going into jungle. Okay, this one was really hard. Junglers all played really well this split. But going over the stats and really thinking about it more, I got to give it to Blabber. His kill participation, his early game, his first blood percentage are top of the line, the best in the league. He's honestly played really well, and I think especially with the talent he had, when I looked over it, I think he was the main person that was actually driving the team forward, especially in the early game. I can't say enough. I think it was a really undervalued part of this split was how good Blabber was. Because it was such a farm heavy meta, it was easy to kind of just clear your jungle over again. But he performed really well. He played all the champions, some of the new mages and champions that came in, like Zyra and Brand. And I thought, he performed really well. And we'll go into second team. This one was also a top up. It was hard to put Umti in some of these spots because of, him being more of a team player. But I ended up giving to Inspired, and I honestly probably would have put Inspired as first team if he didn't have such a poor performance versus C9. And part of that was the draft, but part of that was some of the team fighting, especially the Lilia game at the end, kind of solo losing the team fight with his decision making. So I was really close to Inspired being first team. I think if he played well versus C9, I would have an argument and probably put him above Blabber, mostly because of how little talent I think it is kind of on that FlyQuest team in comparing it to C9 and TL. I think he was the main reason they win a lot of their games. I know he's kind of a farming merchant or a full clear merchant, but he really delivers, in my opinion, on what he needs to do. Yeah, he's clearing the jungle all the time, but he's also up 100 CS at 20 minutes, and he's 3 levels up on the jungler. He's getting all the objectives, and he's there when he needs to be. So I'm a big fan of Inspired, but I gotta give him second, mostly because of the head-to-head versus C9. So then we'll go into Umti, who will get third. And a big part of why I put Umti as third has to do with just the champion pool that he has. If you watch TL's drafts, if you see his champion pool, he's playing a lot of Maokai, he's playing a lot of Sejuani. He tried playing Viego in a lot of the games, even though it didn't really perform that well. And that's just the problem. I mean, I think if you took him and you put him on some of these other teams, I think it'd be difficult because he doesn't have the benefit of having the best solo laners and having like a monster bot lane. And so I think the fact that he can't play these mages, like it means a lot to me when I'm trying to rank these players because he just seems like kind of the most supportive of them. He seems like the one that's at least like the most replaceable. I think if you put Blabber or put Inspired on that team, I think they would perform to similar or even better levels. But I'm not sure you would have if you put Umti on FlyQuest. I'm not sure what that team's going to look like. That might not even be a top 3 team anymore. They might even slip into the bottom half. So I think that means a lot to me. And I like helping. I like buffing up people who play supportive playstyle since I did that a lot in my career. But in this case, I have to put him third just because of those reasons. So okay, mid lane, and it's crazy that this has been the case a year apart from when APA really came into the scene. But yeah, we got APA first team, and it's honestly not even close. Similar to Impact, to not the highest of degree, but APA he is not the most consistent like Impact, but he is the playmaker, man. This guy is a complete psychopath. He has 12 solo kills this season. And if you compare that to the other mid laners, they have at most 5 or 4. Even JoJo only has like 1. But APA was crazy. I mean, he is a psychopath the way he plays, all inning, fighting to the death. He is insane in the side lane. He's probably the best side lane pressure in the game. Always like TPing to get the towers and to just put stuff on the map. I was a really big fan of his playstyle, and I think in large part he was why TL was successful as they are, because you need like a wild card on a team. You need somebody who's going to kind of push the tempo and do crazy things to like give you more and more of a lead. So I was a huge fan of him. It's amazing how much he's progressed. I'm so proud of him. He's done fantastic. Second team, kind of a toss up between Quad and JoJo, but I think Quad did so much more with less. And so what does that mean? JoJo had, and they really highlighted it in the C9 versus FlyQuest series. JoJo does not have very much, jungle help, team help, like support help in general. FlyQuest is especially Inspired. He's more of a farming jungler, focused around objectives, play around top side when he does have a lead. And I think Quad coming in like as a rookie performed super well in all the games. He's probably the second best player on FlyQuest. Hardly any of the games I'm thinking, oh, this guy's a problem. It's just sometimes he maybe doesn't have that kind of next level that you could see from APA or JoJo when he's in like prime form. Kind of has that next level X factor. Quad is a little bit missing that gear, but he is way more consistent this split than JoJo has been. And I think I like his play style more. I like his independence more than I like JoJo. So we'll talk about JoJo. He got a lot of help this split. I mean, it's no surprise. They play around him a lot. They make sure that he can always farm and side lane and, gets push out when he needs to in mid. And these are not all bad things. I mean, it's good to play around your talented players, especially if they are understanding of how to use resources and they know like what good timers are to do things. But I will say, I think given everything C9 invested in JoJo during a lot of their games, I was not super impressed by the way he kind of delivered on those. I don't think he was particularly threatening in a lot of side lanes. He didn't take a lot of risks like someone like APA does to get solo advantages. He only has 1 solo kill this whole split, which is crazy. And part of that is because he's just always, people are helping him. But I don't think he really, did a lot of massive things. And I think in a lot of the close games, Berserker was more the one who came up clutch to win a team fight, to do something to kind of secure a game. And for that, I got to put him kind of near the bottom of this trio. I still think it's very close between him and Quad, but I'd say that he under-delivered on what my expectations were for him this split. All right, AD carry. This was Probably the hardest. I mean, ball lane as a whole was the hardest to really judge of who to be first and second. Third was really easy, but we'll get to that in a second. Um, Berserker and Jan, Core and Vulcan. God, it was so close. But I have to give it to Berserker for first team. I was looking at some of the games and I was looking at some of the stats, just watching over his play. And man, like I'm not even sure he had a bad moment. Berserker was so good. It's crazy how good he was in all the games, even in the losses. He was performing so well. I was really impressed. I mean, this is like almost MVP level. I would say that he should definitely get MVP votes. Um, yeah, I was wholly impressed with him. Like he was just on it this split, especially compared to last split where he struggled a lot, had so many games where he was basically losing it for his team. Man, Berserker was crazy, and I think it was something that I didn't even realize until I looked back on his performance throughout the whole entire split. Is just how impressive he has been and how many big moments in team fights he delivered on. Yeah, it was crazy. And but like not far behind him, Jan also, just as insane almost. He had a couple more like stinker bad games, but I think Jan is also close behind. I just think that Jan had to do a lot less. I guess that's the differential. And when you get this tight, you kind of do have to compare a little bit what they're working with. But I do think Jan had to do a lot less. He has the best solo laners in the league. I think that helps a lot when you're playing any carry. You don't have to deliver just as like even more in every team fight. So, but they're neck and neck, man. I mean, these two people played so insane. And then also Masu, credit to him. Not that he played bad. I think he had a solid split. But dude, these guys are like this is some of the best LCS AD carry play that we've had in a while. So I just want to give credit to that more so than take away anything from Masu. I think he performed really well throughout the whole entire split. And then same thing with the core versus Vulcan when we get into first team for support. This was super hard for me. The deciding factor to me ended up being that core JJ still has such a solid champ pool, whereas Vulcan's still a little bit more vulnerable. It's kind of the inverse of or I guess the same as the Umti decision. Is Core could play pretty much anything. He's played enchanters, he's played engagers, he's played, he can play any champion. I also give him a lot of credit for the shot calling and the macro on his team because, that's Core JJ. He's the shot caller of TL. Everyone knows that. I don't know the C9, structure that well, but I know Blabber is kind of the one calling the show. As well as the fact, the funny thing when I was looking at this is kill participation was actually extremely low for Core. He has 10% less kill participation than Vulcan. He has the lowest kill participation in the league. And initially I thought, oh, well, that's it. Vulcan does more for his team than Core does. But I don't want to punish Core for the fact that his solo laners are combined getting 23 solo lanes throughout the whole solo kills throughout the whole season. Which is crazy. 23 solo kills across the 17 or 18 games they had is nuts. And I don't want to punish him for that. And that is large part why the kill participation is so different. And then Vulcan, obviously, he played really great. He cannot win on Enchanter supports. This isn't even his fault. Both the games that he played them, he lost. Even though he played well, it's not even like he played bad. It's just the way it is sometimes. But that matters because I keep on getting this feeling in my head that he still can't play those. Because given last split as well, they played really poorly with enchanters. So that's in the back of my mind that I would rather have a player like Core who's proven he can win and perform on just about any type of style. And then Busio, I mean, he did okay. I mean, if you compare Busio to them, it's not even close. But if you compare Busio to the rest of the group, as far as the other LCS teams and sports, I mean, he did well. He still has some massive stinker games. This is also, I mean, that whole team this is why I put Quad and Inspired so high as well. Is when I look at top and I look at support, so many games are just a complete mess in large part because of their performances. So, I think the other pieces of that puzzle kind of need to be ranked a little higher because of it. So, those are the all pros. So let's talk about the coaching staff. I think coaching staff of the split, we have to go to TL. They have the best macro. They kind of dominated the lane swap meta. I think as well, their drafts were just so much better, especially against C9 and FlyQuest. They kind of just dominated them in draft. So I'm wholly impressed with them. They've done perfection throughout the whole entire split. Rookie of the year. Before this, I thought it was almost a lock that Sniper was going to get it because he was so insane in spring. And although I do think he in of himself has not regressed that much, I do think 100 Thieves has taken a massive step back. And I think, in large part, he's going to suffer from that. I still think he's a great player. He's got a lot of potential, but instead, Masu actually got so much better from spring to summer, I think. I've been more impressed by Masu. And so I think Masu for sure needs to get Rookie of the Split. And then MVP, I don't think it's even close that Impact should get MVP. I mean, not only just for like the history of him and leading up to this point and kind of making it a like a career MVP almost, kind of like, he probably should have been winning these before, but the difference between him and the rest of the competition is absurd. Like I talked about at the beginning of this video, I think it's insanely impressive, what he's put together. And this is one of the most dominant MVP splits I've seen in recent times. And for top lane, especially in a lane swap meta, it's crazy the advantages he's gotten and just what he's been able to do with the body of work of this split. I think probably second or third in MVP voting. Should probably be Berserker getting second place, and then I'd probably put APA as third. But that's my hey, that's my 2 cents. That's what I've seen so far this split. It's a little, like I said, it's a little bit weird that we have the same like top 3 teams with all their players. I usually love like having teams on like 4th or 5th place teams who performed really well. I tried, man. I really thought Sven was gonna be a top 3 vote, but they just performed so poorly in a lot of their games. So, but anyways, thank you for watching the video. If you made it to this point, go ahead and like and subscribe if you can. But I'll see you guys on the next one.